Hey everybody, it's Kate, the West Coast Paper Crafter from Vancouver Island, Canada. It's March 25th, 7 p.m. and tonight I'm going to show you how to make a, what's the name of it? I forgot the name of it. Oh, it's a fun fold. It is a bookfold easel card. Wow, this is how we're starting out tonight. I am already forgetting the name of the card I'm going to show you how to make. All right, well, I'm going to flip the camera around and fingers crossed that my brain's going to work and I'm not going to forget what I'm doing. All right, so close your eyes. I'm just going to turn my phone to face my workstation. That looks pretty good. And we will get started. Just going to bring up comments on Facebook so I can see what I'm doing and see any comments as they come in. All right, so like I said, this is a bookfold easel card and it's not too hard to make. So I've got all the pieces cut. If you didn't get the measurements, I will post them in the comments as soon as this live ends. And if you're wondering what I'm doing, I just noticed I've got some frayed pieces on my cardstock, so I'm just getting rid of those. And sometimes just running my nail along the edge of that cardstock does the trick. And if it doesn't, I use a little nail file. So, hello Cheryl, thanks for tuning in. All right, so I've got all these pieces cut and I'll tell you the measurements as we go through, but for now, I'm just gonna get them out of the way. And we're going to start with our card base. I did a little bit of pre-stamping and die cutting tonight because I didn't want to take up too much time. So I'll just put those aside so I don't lose them. So to start, I have got my card base, which is 4 1/4 by 11. And we're going to do a little bit of scoring. Let's get my paper trimmer set up and my cutting blade out of the way. So on the 11-inch side, I'm going to score at 5 1/2. Make sure your cutting blade is out of the way so you don't cut your cardstock in half. I may have done that before. Now my second score is going to be at 6 3/4. All right, so on the long side, the 11-inch side, we have scored at 5 1/2 and 6 3/4. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to score from this bottom score line, the 6 3/4 score line, and I'm going to score diagonally to the top edge of the card. So what you're going to want to do is line up this edge in the track with the score line you made at the 6 3/4 mark. All right, so I don't know if you can see that, but this is my 6 3/4 score line, the very bottom of it. So that's in the track. And I've lined up the top right edge of the card. And now I'm going to score that diagonally. And that is all we need our paper trimmer for. So I'm going to move that out of the way. And now we've got our card base. We'll fold in half at the 5 1/2 score line. And then I'm going to fold over. And this piece here will get glued down, and that's going to be the bookfold. And then this piece here is going to get folded. Wait a minute, I have to think about what I'm doing here. Folded down, not up, sorry. See, it's one of those days already. Hey Tanya, thanks for tuning in. Hello Marianne. All right, so we've got it folded in half, and then we're going to glue this down to make the book fold, and then that diagonal line, you're going to fold it in. Don't fold it up like I first did. You're going to fold it in, so it's going to sit kind of like that. So that's what we're going to do. So we'll start with the book fold first. I've got a piece of basic white. This is 1 by 4. And then I've got a piece of designer series paper. That's 3/4 and 3 3/4. So to start out, I'm just going to glue designer series paper onto my basic white. And it is directional, so I'm just going to pay attention when I put it down, which way it's facing, or at least when I glue it onto the card front. So I don't know about where you guys are at, but it has been a very wet day out in East Sauk. It started out beautiful, but this afternoon it rained really hard. So I did not get outside. And I am on spring break, so part of my daily routine, whether I'm working or on vacation or what, I like to get in 10,000 steps, and it's a lot easier if I can do it outside. So after this live, I am going to look ridiculous, and I'm going to do laps in the house. I am literally going to walk laps in the house just to make sure I get my 10,000 steps in, because, you know, girls got goals. All right. So this piece that I've just glued together, I am going to glue on the card front where I've folded the card in half and that 6 3/4 score line. Well, hello, Andrea from Idaho. Thanks for tuning in. I was in the States last week, and it was pretty impressive. I only made it as far as Seattle, which is not too far from where I live, but everywhere I went, I met the nicest people, and driving the I-5, at least to Seattle, was a lot less stressful than I thought it would be, because I don't think I came across like maybe 1 or 2 speeders. It's not like Alberta or even on Vancouver Island where people are flying. Like, it felt so chill. There was a ton of traffic going through Seattle, but everybody was driving reasonably, and I felt really good about it. It was kind of funny because I was worried about driving. I get a little car anxiety. Tanya knows exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so now I've got some ribbon, and this is iridescent ribbon. I'm pretty sure I got this in the fall and winter mini catalog, and I could not tell you if it retired or if it carried over. So I'm going to tie a bow, and I will cut a long enough piece of ribbon so it's easy to tie. And to do that, I like to wrap my ribbon 4.5 times around the width of what I'm going to put my bow around. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, whoops, and about 1/2. So right about there. Oh, I got butterfingers. All right, so I'm going to stick this ribbon down, and I like to put a little bit of tear and tape on the back side, if I can find the edge of it, just to keep my ribbon from sliding around. It's kind of what I like to do. So I'm just going to put a little bit of tear and tape down on the inside of that book fold. And then I will stick the ribbon on there. And then I will tie my bow. And if Cindy Reed tunes in on the replay, you are going to be proud of me because I finally pulled out a pair of reverse tweezers. And it turns out, I think I might have said I didn't have a pair, but it turns out I did. I had a pair of reverse tweezers hiding in my Cricut supplies. So these are super handy when you don't have an extra hand to help you keep your bow tight. So these little reverse tweezers will be my new best friend. Look at that. Perfect. It just held it perfectly. All right, I'm going to finagle my bow. I'm sure that's a word in the dictionary, right? Finagle. I'm loof it up, and then I will trim it. And that can be a little shorter. There, okay. All right, now to finish the book fold, all I'm going to do is glue this down. And I'll put a little line of glue on each side of my ribbon and one down the ribbon, and that should be more than enough. And then I'll just hold that for a second and let the glue take. Yeah, it is pretty ribbon, isn't it? And it ties a pretty bow. I don't remember if this one carried over or there was maybe another white one with silver trim that carried over. I can't remember. I've got so many things in my embellishment basket that I really should use up, but I'm sure they're retired now, so. Okay, so that's that. Book fold is done. And now what we're going to do is build the front of the card. So I've got a piece of cardstock that is 4x4, and I'm going to emboss it. I should have pulled this out of my plastic before I did that. It'd be loud in the microphone. Okay, so this is the Layered Florals 3D embossing folder. I'm very sure this is carrying over since everything's changing over with the new annual catalog coming and the mini catalog ending. There's going to be a lot of change, which is good. I like new things. Okay, just popping this in here. I'll try to get it straight. All right, running it through. I really like the 3D embossing folders. They do such a nice job. Gosh, what a mess. If you could only see all the mess that happens when I craft. All right, there it is, embossed with the Layered Florals 3D embossing folder. Oh, sorry, I'm holding that up a little too high. That is just so pretty. So now we are going to adhere this to the front of the card, but we're only gluing it on this bottom half. So the bottom half of that score line on the diagonal, that is where we're going to glue this. So I'm just going to add glue onto this bottom half underneath the diagonal score line, and I'm going to keep it about 1/2 inch away from the edge of the card, and that way I shouldn't have any glue leak out. That should be just fine. Okay, now you're just going to stick this onto the card front, and I'm going to just maneuver it a little bit so I've got the same, or at least try to get the same border around the top and edges of the card. And then I'll just press down and let that glue set. And there we go, like so. So once we have everything in place, your card is going to sit up like this. So, oh, Robin, hi. I'm really glad you tuned in. It's 10:14 where you are, am I right? 10 o'clock at night? Thanks for staying up late. I'm really excited you're moving to the island, and my fingers crossed you are moving close to where I am, because we've got a really big community of crafters and I think you'll love it. So there's lots of crafters on the island. There's lots of Stampin' Up! Demonstrators, hobby demos, you name it. So I will help you find your tribe if you're not moving to the southern part of the island where I live, but I hope you are. All right, I lost my train of thought. Sorry, guys. All right, so this white square is 2.5 by 2.5. And I've got a piece of the designer series paper. It's 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. So I'm just going to glue this designer series paper square onto the white square. Oh, my glue is not behaving. And then I'm going to stick that to the front of the card. But I don't know if I'm going to stick it this way or this way. What do you think? If anybody has an opinion, put it in the comments now. So the diamond direction or the square direction, both work. In the meantime, I stamped out some flowers and a hummingbird from the Thoughtful Expressions stamp set. I think this one's carrying over, at least I hope it is. And I'll give it a little bit of color, if I've got everything here with my Stampin' Blends. So we get a lot of Rufus hummingbirds on the island and Anna hummingbirds. And I can't recall, maybe somebody remembers, if it's the Rufus hummingbird or the Anna hummingbirds that stay on the island year-round. So, but I know this is going to be my version of one of the most common hummingbirds that's kicking around my place in the summer. I don't have hummingbirds in the winter because I don't keep their feeders full, so they move on to greener pastures where people are better at keeping their feeders full. So they never stick around, which is good because I'll forget to feed them, or sometimes we have cold snaps and I'd probably forget to keep their feeders unthawed when we do get a cold snap. But I know lots of people keep their hummingbirds fed and safe all year round. So that's kind of a plus to living on the island, is the year-round hummingbirds. I feel like it's the Anna hummingbirds, not the Rufus, but I could be wrong. All I know is that where I live in East Souk, we get Anna hummingbirds and Rufus, and they're both really pretty. And they like my dryer fuzz. So right outside where my dryer vent is, I've got a tree, and it collects the lint from the dryer. And around this time of the year, well, maybe a little bit later in the season, but the hummingbirds start making their nests and they pick that tree clean. So it's the cutest thing to see. All right, so this was, I did the underneath the hummingbird's throat with this is a light Moody Mauve. I hope I'm saying that right, mauve? I think so. I could be wrong. And then the wings and the head I did in light Old Olive. And now I'm going to add a little bit of the light Smoky Slate just underneath the wings of the hummingbird and on its belly. Perfect. All right, that's done. And then I'll do these flowers. I'm going to do light Moody Mauve for some of the shading. And I'm just going to do it quickly because I'd imagine watching me color with blends is super boring, even though for me, it's kind of my thing. I like to do it, but I'll be fast. So I'm just following the lines to add where I think the shading can go. And sometimes some of Stampin' Up! Stamp sets, they take the guesswork out for you. They just show you where to shade. This is one of them, and the Stippled Roses stamp set is really good for blending because you just can't go wrong. It shows you exactly where you should shade. Cheryl, in the States you pronounce it mauve? Mauve? Am I saying that right? Mauve? I like that. I think that's how my mom says it. She's not in the States. All right, this is Dark Bubble Bath. Oh, so I got sidetracked again. My trip to the States, we did a couple things last week. We went over to Vancouver with my friend Leanne and her son, Quinlan, and we hit Chuck E. Cheese for the boys in Langley, excuse me, which was actually way funner than I thought it would be. I think the last time I went to a Chuck E. Cheese would have been 20 years ago when my nephews were just the little guys. Now they're all grown up. And I wasn't impressed, but this time it was really fun. The kids got like access cards that swiped. We paid for an hour worth of games. They got to play whatever they wanted. And they spent the whole hour trying all the games and earning tickets on their cards, which they ended up redeeming for cotton candy when they were finished. So it was really fun. And we had pizza. And I remember Chuck E. Cheese having like really crappy food 20 years ago. Like, I was so unimpressed. But I would say that their pizza was pretty impressive. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So that was a fun afternoon. So that was what we did on the first day of our spring break road trip. The second day, we took the SkyTrain downtown Vancouver and had a little walk in Stanley Park and then hit the aquarium. And the craziest thing, when we were in Stanley Park, I ran into this fellow named Scott from my small town where I grew up in Hannah, Alberta. It's just a little prairie town. I ran into him just walking his dog in the sea park. Haven't seen him since probably, this is crazy. The last time I saw Scott was in 2007 when my husband and I were dating. We weren't even married. And we stopped in Vancouver on our way to the island. And we just ran into Scott randomly downtown Vancouver, which was just so weird. So said hello, caught up briefly. He met my boyfriend at the time, and then we went over to the island. We hit Tofino, came back to Nanaimo, and decided to buy a house. And that was it. So we bought a house, and then I went back to Alberta and asked my job for a transfer, which I got, which was really lucky. So anyway, it was kind of bizarre. So the last time I ran into Scott was in 2007 downtown Vancouver. And before that, I hadn't seen him since I graduated from high school, which would have been 1993, ages ago. All right, I am going to put this in this direction. Sorry, it got off on a tangent. So that's what happened before we hit the aquarium. I ran into somebody I hadn't seen in a long time. So he's doing good. He's in a band. He was actually, funny story, he was the, way back before, I can't remember if it was before I graduated. So it's in the 90s. And there was a cover band in this little town of Hannah. It was called Village Idiots. That's a true story. The band was called Village Idiots, and Scott was the lead singer, and Chad Kruger was the guitar player. So Nickelback actually started out as a cover band called Village Idiots, and Scott was the lead singer. Anyway, the rest is history. They're no longer Village Idiots. So I've got a little piece of vellum here. I use the Stylish Shapes circle die, the one that is 2 1/8 in diameter, just to cut out this vellum. And I'm going to put this down on my little diamond shape. And I'll put the glue where the hummingbird and the flowers are going to hide the glue. So on the edges. And then I'll pop up the hummingbird and the flowers. And this card is almost done. Just a few more things to do. All right, so right in the middle. And if I do this right, my glue is going to be covered by my hummingbird. So we hit the Vancouver Aquarium. That was pretty cool. I don't even know if I've ever been there. I feel like maybe when I was a little girl, my parents took me there, but it was neat. There was lots of things to see, and it's a beautiful place. The sea lion, the male sea lion, was massive. I think they said he was 1,500 pounds. He was ginormous. And they had a really fun ice cream cone called a mermaid's tail that I really wanted Kai to get, but it was just too glittery for his taste. So he did not get the mermaid's tail, but it looked like a ton of fun. They had rainbow sprinkles and really pretty pastel colors in this soft serve cone that the cone itself was shaped like a fish and it tasted like a sugar cookie. So I wanted him to get the mermaid tail because I didn't want a whole one, but I just wanted a bite of his pretty ice cream cone, but he refused me. So he just got a regular one in the fish cone, which was delicious. All right, that is the front of the card. And now I've got another piece of cardstock. This is 4x4, and I'm going to glue that to the inside, and that is where I will write my greeting to whoever is going to get this card. And normally I would stamp something on this piece of paper, but I don't want anything to show when I pop the card up, so I'm not going to stamp anything. Uh-oh. I'll fix that. My my bookfold has come apart, so it needs a little attention. That's important. I got to fix that. I think I will use some tear and tape, and that will take care of my problem. Tear and tape is very strong. It's the strongest of all the tapes that Stampin' Up! Sells. So I'm just going to stick some tear and tape down, and that is going to take care of my book fold coming apart. Oh, thanks, Gail. I'm glad you think it's pretty. All right, I'm just going to give that a push down so it should stick to the tear and tape. Yeah, problem solved. Okay, now I pre-stamped a sentiment from the Thoughtful Expression stamp set and cut it out with one of the dies from this matching die set. And what I'm going to do is, I dropped my dimensionals. Hang on a second. I'm going to pop this piece up in the bottom right corner. I'll pop that up with the dimensionals. And this is going to hold up the card. So I'm going to use a lot of dimensionals, not like I need an excuse to use a lot of dimensionals, because I always use more dimensionals than I probably need. Oops. But for this, if it's going to be a structure piece of the card to hold part of the card up, then I definitely want to make sure that I have more than enough dimensionals to keep that stiff so it can support the rest of the card. All right, so this is just going to go in the bottom right corner, like so. And then when you fold on that diagonal score line, you can slide that bottom piece of cardstock right against your sentiment, and it'll hold your card up. So there you have it. This is the bookfold easel card. And it will fit in a your regular A4 envelope. It may need extra postage. I'm not too sure. It's thick, right? So you might need extra postage. I'm not too sure. Yeah, that's it. So I hope you guys like it. If you make this design, then please post pictures. I really love to see what you guys make. And I think that's it. I'm going to flip the camera around and I'm going to, oh, you know what I forgot? Embellishments. So I have some champagne iridescent dots, and I won't do it now because we're already been on for half an hour. So I'll just show you my sample card that I did add some embellishments to. So these champagne iridescent dots, it comes with a suite for the thoughtful expressions. I think it's called, the suite itself is called Poetic Expressions. It comes with the designer series paper I used in the card. It comes with the stamp set, the dies, and then these champagne iridescent dots. So these dots don't have an adhesive backing, so you can use them for shaker cards. And then I just use glue dots to hold them down on my card. So this card, you can see I've used the embellishments here. So after the live, I'll stick some of these champagne iridescent dots on this card, and that'll be it. So I'm going to flip the camera around. There's a few things that I'm going to share with everybody, and then we'll call it a night. Okay, first off, this coming Sunday, March 31st, it's Easter Sunday, at 10 a.m. my time, which is Pacific Daylight Savings Time, I'm going to host an online class right on my Facebook page with the Cutest Cows bundle. It's a free class. If you'd like to join, the event is in the featured section of my Facebook page, and all the measurements and the supplies that I'll be using, they're in the discussion tab on that Facebook event. So if you have trouble finding the Facebook event and you want to join, just send me a message or comment in this video, and I'll tag you in the event. So totally free. All you got to do is cut your pieces and craft along. And for my Canadian friends, there is a convenience package. I might have renamed it to something else, but the gist of it is if you're my customer and you shop with me, then you could earn all the kits, and I will mail them out to you or drop them off if you're local, and you don't have to cut any of the pieces out. So that's Sunday, May 31st, 10 in the morning on Facebook. So there will be a replay available because I know it's Easter Sunday and some people will be busy doing other things and not crafting like me alone at my kitchen table. So that's Sunday. And I've been working on a Sweet Thoughts, Memories, and More PDF with 10 different ideas for the Sweet Thoughts, Memories, and More kit. So I've been working on some card designs. I don't have them all done, but there will be 10 card designs. There's a couple more using the Sweet Thoughts, Memories, and More PDF. So if you have purchased the Sweet Thoughts, Memories, and More card pack from me, then I will be emailing you that PDF with 10 ideas of what to do with that card pack once you get it. And then April 14th will be my last in-person class at the ESOOC Hall for at least a few months. I'm going to try something different for in-person classes. So ESOOC, April 14th, that'll be the last in-person class for a little bit. I'll still be hosting in-person classes, but not out at the hall in ESOOC. I'm going to try a couple different locations that I think will be a little more convenient for most people. And lastly, my friend Tanya, the Canadian Stamper, and we will be collaborating on a catalog launch party in May. We don't have a date finalized yet, but stay tuned. So that will be coming, and that's going to be a lot of fun. We have a lot of really good ideas, mostly Tanya's ideas, because I seem to get running away with all the things that I think we should do. So she has to rein me in because, you know, she's smarter than me. She's taken her master's. That's it. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate that you take your time out of your day to watch what I'm up to. Robin, thanks for staying up late, and I really hope to meet you in the future. Fingers crossed you move close to me, but let's be honest, there's nothing too far away on the island, so I'm sure we're going to meet up. And yeah, that's it. Next Monday, same time, same place. I just have no idea what I'm going to make. I usually know Saturday night. So I'll talk to everybody soon. Thanks again for tuning in. Oh, and if you catch a replay, say hello and let me know where you're from. Everybody have a great night.